Bruce Lee was not merely a martial artist but also a philosopher who pushed the boundaries of human potential. According to him, true freedom was not about unquestioningly accepting the patterns imposed upon us, but about having the courage to transcend them. People often live in invisible prisons. The walls of these prisons are built from social norms, family expectations, or our own fears. Bruce Lee's words, "Break the rules to be free," are precisely a call to demolish these invisible walls. This saying does not advocate for chaos or anarchy, but rather for consciously letting go of limiting beliefs. Just as water finds its flow by overcoming obstacles in its path, a person can reach their true nature by overcoming the artificial barriers placed before them. In this lesson, we will explore the philosophy behind Bruce Lee's powerful words across 10 different dimensions. If you are ready, let us begin the journey towards freedom beyond the rules. 1. The nature and origin of rules. Since the dawn of humanity, people have learned to live by rules, and most of these rules were initially created to protect us. Maintaining social order, ensuring security, and making communal living possible require certain guidelines, but the problem begins right here. Over time, protective rules can transform into unquestioned shackles that limit us. Patterns like "behave yourself" learned from our family, "wait your turn" taught at school, or "what will people think?" absorbed from society, embed themselves deep within our consciousness. These patterns are no longer imposed from the outside. They become automatic inner voices that begin to govern our lives without us even realizing it. Bruce Lee warns us at this point, "The rules you are unaware of are your masters and you become their slave." True freedom, however, lies in the ability to discern which rules are truly necessary. Attempting to break rules without understanding their origin cannot go beyond meaningless rebellion, and therefore, awareness must come first. 2. Awareness, seeing the invisible prison. The first step towards freedom is realizing that we are, in fact, in a prison, and this awareness is not as easy as it seems. A person grows up within a thought pattern shaped by the culture, family, and education system they are born into. These patterns feel so natural that we forget they are actually choices, just like a fish is unaware of the water it swims in. In Bruce Lee's teachings, the most crucial step is being able to see these invisible walls, and this is only possible through deep introspection. Questions like, "Why do I think this way? Does this belief truly belong to me or was it inherited from others?" are the keys to awareness. From the clothes we wear when we wake up to the career we choose, many things are actually the result of unconsciously accepted rules. This moment of awareness, like in Bruce Lee's empty cup metaphor, is the beginning of reshaping the mind. The moment we can see the walls of our invisible prison, we begin to gain the power to tear them down. 3. The trap of fear and the comfort zone. The biggest obstacle preventing us from breaking rules is fear, and this fear is often hidden within the warmth of our comfort zone. The human brain has coded the unknown as dangerous, and therefore no matter how boring or limiting our familiar routine is, it feels safe to us. Rules reduce uncertainty, providing comfort to our minds, and we unconsciously become addicted to this comfort. Bruce Lee's words, "Security is an illusion," gain meaning precisely at this point, because true security lies in the ability to adapt to change and uncertainty. As long as we stay within our comfort zone, we use only a small fraction of our potential and miss the bigger picture. Like a seed stuck in its shell, we possess the potential to become a mighty tree, yet we prefer to feel safe. However, a seed can only grow by breaking its shell, by destroying its own rule, and mingling with the soil. Fear is the inner voice that stops us from breaking this shell, and overcoming this voice is the price of freedom. 4. Social impositions and the pressure to be normal. Society exerts an invisible yet deeply felt pressure on the individual, and at the core of this pressure lies the imposition of being normal. From a young age, we are taught how to behave, what to wear, which profession to choose, and even how to love. These teachings are so powerful that most of us, without realizing it, begin walking the path that others have drawn for us, and this is precisely where Bruce Lee rebels. His words, "A good fighter must be flexible. Have a style but do not get stuck in it," also define our stance against social impositions. We do not have to conform to society's definition of success. We have the freedom to create our own. Being part of the crowd is safe, but the price of mediocrity is losing our own uniqueness. Yet, the most valuable thing we can contribute to the world is the aspect of us that is different from those before us, and revealing this difference requires breaking social rules. Resisting the pressure to be normal is one of the bravest acts of freedom. 5. Jeet Kune, the style of no style. The philosophy of Jeet Kune, created by Bruce Lee, is the most concrete example of breaking rules, and this martial art aims, paradoxically, not to be an art form. While traditional martial arts are based on specific patterns, techniques, and rules, Jeet Kune rejects all patterns. With the concept of the style of no style, Bruce Lee means that the fighter should react according to the demands of the moment, without being bound by any predetermined movement. This philosophy can be applied to every aspect of life, because life, like a fight, requires instant reactions and adaptation. Living with pre-prepared answers makes it difficult to adapt to changing circumstances and makes us rigid. The arrow, the symbol of Jeet Kune, follows the shortest path to its target, and this is also true in life. Instead of the roundabout ways we are taught, we must have the courage to go directly towards our goal. This philosophy of Bruce Lee is the martial arts equivalent of his words, "Break the rules," teaching us that freedom lies in not fitting into any mold. 6. Mental patterns, the chains we forge ourselves. More dangerous than externally imposed rules are the mental limitations we create for ourselves, and the iron of these chains is forged from our beliefs. Sentences like, "I can't do it," "It's too late for me," "That's just the way I am, I don't change," are, in fact, limiting codes we engrave into our subconscious. These codes are fed by past experiences, fear of failure, or criticism from others, and they become ossified over time. Bruce Lee's saying, "Our beliefs are not the result of our thoughts, but our thoughts are the result of our beliefs," explains this cycle perfectly. When we believe something, our brain is an expert at finding evidence to confirm that belief, and thus the vicious cycle continues. However, realizing that these mental patterns are not real, but merely maps created by our minds, is the beginning of liberation. The map is not the territory, and we can draw a new map whenever we want. Breaking these self-forged chains is harder than breaking all the external rules, but it is also much more liberating. 7. Creativity and originality. The rigid framework of rules is the greatest enemy of creativity, and originality only emerges when we can step outside this framework. All the artists, scientists, and thinkers who have left their mark on history have created new things by breaking existing rules. If Picasso hadn't broken the rules of painting, the Cubism movement wouldn't exist. If Einstein hadn't questioned the rules of Newtonian physics, the theory of relativity wouldn't have been born. Bruce Lee also created a completely new genre in the cinema world by blending Eastern martial arts with Western narrative style. Creativity is combining existing materials in new ways, and this requires thinking outside of established patterns. Being original isn't about trying to be different, it's about listening to our inner voice and expressing it outwardly. While rules say, "This is how it's done," creativity asks, "What if I did it this way?" This question is the hidden seed of all revolutions, inventions, and works of art. 8. Breaking patterns in relationships. Relationships are perhaps the area where stereotypical rules reign the most, and these rules often build walls in front of love. Society teaches us what a relationship should be like, who should do what, and how love should be shown. Impositions like "men don't cry," "women are self-sacrificing," "this is how marriage works," strip relationships of their naturalness and turn them into performances. Bruce Lee's philosophy tells us to break these patterns in our relationships as well, and to be ourselves. True love requires not playing a role but existing in all our nakedness. Our expectations from our partner are also often directed at an imaginary character shaped by social patterns, not at the real person. However, a free relationship is a union guided by love, not rules, where two people accept each other as they are and do not try to change one another. Breaking rules in relationships is not disrespect. It is the highest expression of sincerity. 9. The spiritual dimension, transcending the ego. The deepest dimension of breaking rules occurs in the spiritual realm, and this means transcending the limiting walls of the ego. The ego is a structure that gives us the illusion of a separate self, constantly trying to protect and prove itself. This structure is in fact our greatest rule maker because it whispers to us, "I am this is my limit." Bruce Lee's words, "Be empty of yourself," point towards going beyond the ego and uniting with universal consciousness. Just as a drop ceases to be a drop when it merges with the ocean, when we transcend the limits of our ego, we experience being part of a much larger whole. This experience is realizing that all rules, all boundaries are artificial, that we are, in essence, all one. Spiritual freedom becomes possible by transcending the most rigid rule of all, the concept of I, and this transcendence makes breaking all other rules easier. 10. The art of balance, when to follow, when to break. Breaking rules does not mean rejecting all rules, and true wisdom lies in knowing when to follow and when to break them. It is wise to follow the stop rule to avoid falling into fire, while it is necessary to break the you can't do it rule to develop our talents. Bruce Lee's water metaphor perfectly explains this balance. When water enters a cup, it becomes the cup, but it doesn't remain the cup, it flows on. We should be like this in life too. We should adapt to rules when necessary and transcend them when necessary. What matters is developing a consciousness capable of discerning which rule restricts life and which one protects it. This balance is an art, learned only through experience, by making mistakes, by falling and getting up. Perfect balance is neither being a rebel who destroys everything nor being docile and submitting to everything. True freedom lies in being able to dance between these two extremes, with the wisdom of the moment. Bruce Lee's words, "Break the rules to be free," are ultimately the deepest call of being human, a call that awaits to resonate within each of us. Rules are necessary to keep society orderly, but we must not allow them to become so powerful that they imprison our souls. True freedom lies not in demolishing external rules, but in silencing the limiting voices within us. Let us not forget that every great achievement has begun by breaking a rule that was met with, "That's not how it's done." Being able to flow like water, to adapt to circumstances while preserving our essence. That is the true skill. Examine your life and question which rules do not belong to you, which chains hold you captive. Your courage is the key to your freedom, and using this key is solely in your hands. Now is the time to embrace Bruce Lee's legacy and write your own story of freedom.